I'm getting ready to go on a trip with the family to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. The car is charging up. I should hit 100% within the next half hour or so. All right, here we are. I have the car charged up to 100% and it's showing 330 miles. I have the navigation set here for our destination. It is showing 203 miles, but I'm also using the Apple CarPlay, and what I'm going to be doing is using the routing on that, and I think it's a bit shorter. It's using a slightly different route, and I think I'm going to be using that one instead, but I'll have both of these on running and see which I like better. And that's it for now. So let's get started with this road trip. One interesting thing I noticed is at 100%, I was at 330 miles. And then after a few minutes, it showed 337 miles. So I guess it is adjusting on the fly. As you may be aware, the 2.2 update has changed the way that range is shown on the Fisker Ocean. Previously, the range was a fixed amount based on the EPA estimate of 360 miles. At least on my car, it showed 360 miles every time I filled the car up to 100%. Here's an example of the car with version 2.0 in August just before a trip. Now the car will show an estimate of the range based on several factors, which seems to be past driving results and also other conditions, and I'm guessing temperature. In today's video, I'll show how my Thanksgiving driving trip from Raleigh, North Carolina to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina and back, I have witnessed quite a startling difference. So let's get started with that. So the drive went fairly well considering it's a holiday week and the roads are busy. I did avoid some highways and Google Maps optimized it with Interstate 40 and 95 with some state roads. Conditions were very nice. 62 to 63 degrees Fahrenheit. HVAC was set to vent since it wasn't hot enough for AC or cold enough for the heat. Speed was between 55 to 75 miles an hour, depending on the roads, the limits, and traffic. Elevation went from 430 feet down to 19 feet, so that helped efficiency. As I arrived at the destination, here's a chart of the stats. State of charge when I got there was 47% with 151 miles remaining. This would indicate a 100% equivalent of 332 miles, which is pretty good. Overall, almost perfect conditions for maximizing range. 3.2 miles per kilowatt hour or a 311 watt hours per mile are good results considering my historical records. While at our destination, I was able to charge at the house since it had multiple 120 volt outlets in the carport area, since golf carts are commonly used in the resort. I did want to try out the free L2 charging that was also offered, so I charged from 50 to 90%, and then I moved the car back to the house in the morning. Over the next couple days, I topped up using the L1 at the house. This allowed me to start with 99% on the trip back on Saturday. What a difference a few days makes. Wednesday and Thursday was warm, up to 75 degrees Fahrenheit. When Friday arrived, a cold front came in. Overnight temps were 35 degrees on Saturday morning. So the car's high voltage battery was cold soaked when we were leaving. I did have it connected to the L1 overnight, but it never reached 100%. But 99% was close enough for the drive back. Note that at 99%, my estimated range went from 330 miles down to 302 miles. And that is with fairly efficient driving the previous 3 days. So ambient temperature and that of the battery pack must be being used by the car to calculate the range. On the way back to Raleigh, I roughly followed the same route of state roads and interstate highways, but the big difference was temperature, about 20 degrees Fahrenheit lower than on the way to Myrtle Beach. I also was facing elevation changes from 19 feet up to 430 feet at the destination. And since it was cold outside, the interior heat was running around 70 to 72 degrees Fahrenheit. So looking at the chart, you can see a huge difference in efficiency. The combination of the cold soaked battery, cold weather driving, HVAC heat running, and increased elevation added up to a 28% drop in range compared to the trip down to the beach. 239 miles versus 332 miles on a 100% equivalent basis. Efficiency went from 3.2 miles per kilowatt hour down to 2.3, or 311 watt hours per mile to 427 watt hours per mile. So in conclusion, you can see a huge difference between the two parts of the trip. Pay attention to weather forecasts and take temperatures into account when planning trips. Also, elevation and HVAC usage plays a big role too. Well, I hope that was useful for you, and if you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.